In Proverbs chapter 16 verse 6 it says, "By mercy and truth iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Lord men depart from evil." So this means that if you want to be delivered from a sin that you keep doing, then you need to pray for the fear of the Lord. Because if you fear God, then you know that God is watching over every move that you make. And you know that if God is watching you, you wouldn't do what you're doing if you were right in front of God. You know that if God was standing right in front of you, the sin that you're doing, you wouldn't do it. So you need to pray for the fear of the Lord, because when you fear God, you won't sin, because you'll feel God's presence with you. If you fear God, you know that the end of sin is destruction. You know that God will punish those that sin. You know the end of your iniquities. So if you fear God, then you won't sin, because you know the consequences of your sin and you know the consequences of your actions. But one thing you must take into consideration is that if you ask for the grace to do something, as James 2 verse 26 talks about how faith without works is dead. You can ask God for all of the grace and God can give you the grace, but faith without works is dead. Faith is displayed by your works, so you must also work towards what you want, in addition to the grace that God has given you. If you have faith in the grace that God has given you, then you have to take the step and display your faith by your works. Because if God gives you the grace to go and preach to someone, you can ask for the grace all you want, but asking for grace doesn't mean that God is going to program you to go and do it. God is going to lift up your feet to go and walk to the people that He told you to. You have to do the action as well. You can pray for grace, God will give you grace, but you have to also take the action as well. You can't just ask for the fear of the Lord. You must also try your best and work towards fearing God. You must read His word to see what happens to those that sin. So you must fear the Lord in order to be delivered from sin, but you must also work towards fearing the Lord by reading the word of God and having understanding of what sin really brings.